to About Face Theatre presents 5 Questions With, and today's guest, actor Ingrid Craigie. Ingrid is a prolific stage actor with a career spanning new plays, classics, and adaptations. Her many appearances at the Abbey include the premieres of Aristocrats by Brian Friel, Ariel by Marina Carr, and A Life by Hugh Leonard, while she's also worked extensively at the Gate. Her Broadway credits include The Cripple of Inishmaan and Wonderful Tennessee, while she's also worked internationally at theatres such as the National, the Barbican, the Old Vic, the Royal Court, the Chicester Festival, and the Lincoln Centre, among others. Her film credits include The Dead, directed by John Huston, Da with Martin Sheen, and Circle of Friends, while her recent television work includes David Hare's BBC series Roadkill and her IFTA-nominated role on Blood. Ingrid, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much. That's very, very kind.
Sounds pretty good, huh? So Ingrid, we'll just dive right into the questions. So can you tell us what play or experience first got you into theatre?
I think definitely. When I was at school, I can't remember how old I was. Must have been. I think I must have only been about 13. And I wanted to see a production of Borstal Boy at the Abbey. Mm-hmm. And so I made my parents bring me to see that. And I was completely blown away by that. And it was because I was looking at people on the stage that I would have had no contact with at all in my life. You know, young boys in Borstal institutions, they would have been people to me who might have been frightening, who would have been the unknown, a completely different class, everything about it. And instead, of course, you just meet these young men and you just understand, you know, who they are as people, and you feel an immediate kinship with them. And that changed everything for me. I couldn't believe that. I thought, if this is what I want to do, this is really important. This is fantastic. More than anything I'd seen up to that time, I was really just, my world expanded. And I think that for me, that's what theatre is about. Yeah.
And was it straight away acting, Ingrid, that you responded to, that you wanted to be on that stage?
Well, you know, there was nothing in my family, and, you know, so you don't know if that's something you can do. I mean, I didn't connect myself with them in one way. I just thought it was something that was so wonderful. I was lucky that when I went in secondary school, I had a drama teacher who was an actor, and she said to me, you could be an actor. And that was fantastic, because I don't think I would probably have done that. I almost didn't know how to do it, you know. In those days. But there was also another production that I saw when I was still at school. I used to go to Trinity and watch people in players. And there was production of The Glass Menagerie. And of course, players held, 90 people, tiny little theatre. And the actor, Shane Bryant, who later became an actor, as Tom, he was speaking to me, completely to me. And again, it was that connection, which I think, when I think about it, most of the theatre that's so important to me is about the intense connection between the actor and the audience. And he was just speaking to me. And I've never been afraid to look back at an actor who's talking to me. But it's funny, when you're speaking to people in the audience, some people won't meet your gaze and some people will. It's odd that, you know, some people get very embarrassed and they can't look at you. And some people just engage with you. Yeah.
That intense connection. So okay, Ingrid, so Borstal Boy and Glass Menagerie are some early influences, but what's a great play that you love and why?
Well, there are so many. I suppose one of my favorite plays is Faith Healer, Brian Friel, Faith Healer. I was a member of the company, I think. Yes, I was, when the first production happened at the Abbey. And so I saw it 3 times. And I just remember the first time I saw it, it seemed, it's funny now, but it seemed the actual construction of it was so radical, almost just three people talking to you and then telling radically different versions of a truth. And I didn't know if I understood it, but I knew I understood it emotionally, which I think is how you apprehend and understand art anyway. Initially, it isn't always intellectually. You might understand it intellectually, but you deeply understand what is being said and how it speaks to you. And I remember coming out of the play shaking because I had expended so much energy in listening to it, in receiving it. And so that play was huge for me and remained so. And then I was very friendly with all three of the actors subsequently. And I did think it was the part of Grace that I wanted to play. Some way I felt, I think I know this woman, or I think I can play this woman. You know, sometimes there are very few parts that you hope you can play lots of things, but there are some that you think, I really want to try and play this woman. I really would like to try this. And that was with Faith Healer. So when it eventually came round to me, it was incredibly special to do. And I just think, I mean, Brian, one of his famous phrases is, confusion is not an ignoble condition. And, it is not the facts of history that shape us. So, our truths are not necessarily literal truths at all, but the truth of a person, of what you believe, what forms you. They all have a truth. They're not all good. Some of it is what Frank says sometimes can be wicked and hurtful and evil almost. But that within all of them, there is each of them have truths. So it's kind of a mysterious play, and it's a huge play because, of course, at the end it's like the moment of death for all of them. Actually, she's certainly going to die. They all are really at the end of it. Frank is at the point of death, so it's astonishing to be part of. And also emotionally, I felt incredibly connected to Donald McCann when I was doing it, and he was dead, But although I was very completely connected to the company I was with, of course, there was this other thing of Donald being there in some sense, that he was a faith healer as well. He was one of them,
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
beautiful. I love that connection down the line to the play. That's beautiful. Yeah.
I think that's part of what we do as well, because we don't exist outside the present of when we play it, except in the memory, and in the connection we have with the people who went before us and who will come after us. And that, I think, I find that very moving, and I find it comforting too, that other people have gone before and they're gone, and I'll go too, and other people will follow.
Beautiful. So can you tell us about a time in your theater life where something turned out differently than you expected it to?
I mean, obviously there are productions that and you can never tell, if something is going to be a wonderful experience. It should be and isn't. And sometimes something you may not have great expectations about, or you just don't know, it turns out to be incredibly special. I was in the original production of Crave by Sarah Kane. And it was an extraordinary experience because Sarah was there with us every day in rehearsal. And that was an incredibly, it was very obviously intense in some ways, but it was also very great fun. She was fantastic fun as well. But she told us, how she wrote every line, why she wrote it. And we knew, because she was very open about it, that Sarah had extreme issues with her mental health, and that she said to us, kind of in a sort of a jokey way, she said, I wrote this play, and then I said, well, I'll write this play and then I can kill myself. And we was also, and it was it seemed like a terrible thing to say. And we knew how difficult it was for her. But I felt, and we all hoped, because she didn't die, you know, she wrote it and she stayed in the world with us. And I hoped that she would, if she got past a certain age, maybe it would be more resolved for her, or she could stay in the world. But at the end of the play, we all felt, it seemed to be, and I think Sarah gave us this impression that or we allowed ourselves to think it, that it was a longing for peace, which is death. You know, death would give her peace. And we played it like that. And of course, it's very extraordinary when you do a new play, because you have, I mean, that as well. I mean, you have no idea when you see that play. You don't even know, when I read it first, who's a man and who's a woman, except I knew M must be a woman. That's all I could guess initially, and you work it out. But when she died, then not long after we had finished, we did the play and we toured. We went to Europe, we toured, we came here, and then she died after she'd written 448 Psychosis. She did kill herself. And then there was a retrospective of her work at the Royal Court, and we came back to it. And of course, the first time you do a play, sometimes it's the absolute, you know, you discover the play almost completely, and the first production can seem to be the best production. You know, I've seen productions that I think have never rivaled the first production. And I don't, sometimes I think, was it just me? Because you have a very strong, you know, relationship with the first time you see a play. But sometimes a first production gets it absolutely right. And sometimes the first production just makes it possible for all the other productions in some weird way to happen. People are more confident. They can, you know, even if they've never seen it. But when we came back to it, we really discovered that she was desperately trying to stay alive, but it was too painful. It wasn't that she was longing for death. It was just that being alive was too hard. And that was a kind of a, I mean, we discovered that, I suppose, but it was very bittersweet to discover that, you know, when we did it. She was such an extraordinary writer, and with amazing, you know, compassion too, really, you know. Because her writing a scene is so brutal at times, you know, which it is so hard to watch. She's such an extraordinary person. Yeah, just a great.
So amazing that you got to be in the room with her and see that other side of her.
Amazing, yeah. And you hoped, you know, because she was, you know, much younger than I was, I hoped she would be in my life forever. You know, I'd always have Sarah, you know, I mean, as someone you'd see and someone you keep in touch with, you know, so yeah, such a loss. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Ingrid. That's brilliant. Okay, so you've been working in the theater for a long time, and you've worked in all sorts of amazing places, pretty much all the great theaters you've worked at. You've also had a prolific career in TV and film. So what keeps you coming back to the theater? What excites you? What moves you about theater?
Well, I think, first of all, I love the collaboration of theatre. I mean, I think that's what it has to be. I love being in a room with other actors, and it is the live. It is the fact that we're going to meet an audience, and that's what keeps me coming back. I think that is such a it's such a strong. I mean, it's such a strong experience. And while we're trying to do things online and trying to do all this other stuff, you just know it is not the same as being in the theatre and speaking to that audience, or being in the audience and making that connection with the stage. It moves me more than, I mean, film moves me very much too, and theatre is harder because it's harder to get a great production, you know, or a production that you're going to have more near misses than you will have, you know, the ones that really, really change you, you know, in some way. And I think it's just that you never stop. There's always more to discover theatrically, and just to kind of expand your compassion and your empathy and your understanding, I think. So I love theatre. Yeah, live theatre.
Well, I was just going to ask you about any tools from theatre that you found beneficial to the rest of your life. You know, you just mentioned, you know, empathy and
well, I hope, yeah.
But I don't know if there's something else, some sort of tool that you found, you know, theatre tool that you found beneficial.
I think, I mean, I get cross when people talk about actors and theatre people and, you know, artists and everything being kind of feckless and, you know, oh, airy fairy, and I think I have learned great focus and concentration, and I think and listening a bit. I mean, I think I can listen and hear people, and see people, and I hope be aware of people, and I think I've quite a good, I hope, ability to deconstruct, to take a text and to take it apart, or to be critical, to see, and ask questions, to wonder within it. So I hope it has taught me those things. And I remember I met some dauntingly brilliant academics in Stanford once, you know, and who you think, I don't know, do they ever enjoy themselves really, but they do. They ever just watch rubbish, you know, or, you know. But this guy and his wife, he said to me, we have a mantra, which is don't moralize your taste. And actually I thought and I kind of held on to that for ages, you know, because it's very easy to think, you know, what I love and what I respond to and what I find moving or interesting or provoking is good. And what the next generation or that generation or those people like isn't as good. So I try to remain open. And I think in the theatre you have to. So I try not to moralize my taste.
I love it.
Well, Ingrid, this has been so brilliant. Thank you so much. Just as a bonus question, can you tell anything about what you're working on at the moment?
Well, I'm in the theatre. Actually, I am going to do. I'm so pleased. I'm going to play the mother in The Beauty Queen of Lenan in Chichester and Lyric Hammersmith. Yeah, which is kind of a bit daunting because it's a sort of it's a bit of a against obvious type in a sense of, you know, physically in every way, but it's I'm doing it working with Rachel O'Riordan, and so she wants me to do it, I want to do it, so we're going to see. I mean, if you're not daunted, well, you know, it's great. Why not? So that's the next theatre I'm doing. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, so that's
I somehow think, Ingrid, you'll have no problem. I somehow think you'll have no problem at all.
Well, thank you very much. We'll see.
That would be a great adventure. Well, Ingrid, thank you so very much for joining us. It's just, I could keep talking to you for hours. But it's so lovely to have you. So thank you.
Thank you. It's been really nice of you to ask me. Thank you.
Thank you. And a huge thank you to you, our audience, for joining us. If you enjoyed the interview, please like below and share, because we believe theatre makes life better. So see you next time on AboutFACE Theatre presents 5 Questions With. Until then.
If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, and share. Thanks for watching.